Welcome back to the eForge podcast, where kingdom entrepreneurs are forged into high impact leaders and legacy builders. I'm your host, Cory Long, and today's episode is going to hit you differently. We're diving into business growth through the lens of obedience, revelation, and implementation. My guest today is Spencer Walker, a coach and strategist who helps high-end dentists and doctors grow their practices through a model that God literally gave him while he was mowing his lawn. This isn't just about business, it's about building what you're called to build with clarity, confidence, and conviction. We'll talk about how his model works, how it's transforming the dental space, and how you can create frameworks from revelation that produces results. Spencer, welcome to the podcast, man. I'm excited because I want to hear the story. I know we've been kind of going around all of this and everything, but tell us a little bit. I know you owned an agency. You guys focused on dental implants. You were telling me a little bit about what you guys did before. Let's update the listeners on that story and get to kind of that point where we can talk about what it's like to mow your lawn and have a revelation that changes your whole business.
Yes, Cory, thank you for having me on. And I just have to tell you, it's a pleasure to be on here with kingdom-minded people and with you doing God's work. It's just awesome. I love it. So thank you for
Yeah.
putting this together and then
For
having me.
sure.
So
For sure.
my story begins, a friend of mine, we helped establish and create a marketing agency that focused on helping dentists get more of their highest ticket type of patient, which is a dental implant patient specifically, and mainly full arch of teeth going in. It's a very sophisticated, complicated type of surgery to replace all of your teeth and give a whole arch of false teeth, right?
Yeah.
Supported by dental implants. And so we worked hard. This is like 2018. I guess it actually started around 2017. It started gaining momentum. 2018, 2019, we really started taking off. COVID happened. And then the government, like COVID happened, shut everything down. It was a wild time for a few months there.
Yeah.
Comes back on, and then it was the glory days of dental implants at that point because the government started injecting the economy with all this money and everybody had all this extra money. Prices were low. We didn't have the inflation like we are experiencing today. And if you were a blind dental implant dentist, you could acquire, close lots of these patients. It was fairly easy at that time. And then inflation started creeping up. And so we grew, we exploded in growth as a agency. We just really blew up. We became the largest dental implant specific marketing agency, focused on these high end type of patients, and really just grew and established a really solid brand. Well, fast forward a couple of years, all of a sudden inflation's up. And what that means is that the average person who was purchasing dental implants before, money wasn't going as far, they could not afford purchasing these higher priced things because insurance
Yeah.
mostly doesn't cover dental implants.
You're talking about like a $30,000 to $50,000.
Yeah,
That about right? Or
for a single arch, implant supported, like fully implant supported. There's different levels of like
sure.
material and quantity of implants, etc. But on the low end, you're probably in the like 15 to 20K
Wow.
for a single arch. Most single arches of substantial quality are going to be in the 20s up to 20 to 30. And then for two arches, you're looking at around 40 to $60,000 to have
Wow.
that redone, right?
That's expensive.
Yeah, it's very expensive, very sophisticated, right? You got to get that
Yeah.
fine line just right, and if not, it can cause actually further health complications. Not to mention aesthetics, not looking nice. So to make it look beautiful and for it to be fully healthy and aligned correctly, it takes a lot of learning, a lot of skill, and you obviously pay for that.
Yeah.
Um, so with those, with the number of sales of full arch implants waning, doctors began to run around like their hair was on fire, obviously for good reason, and saying, what's going on? What's going on? And of course, they frequently will blame the marketing
Oh,
agency.
for sure.
And then they were just jumping from agency to agency to agency. So our churn was through the roof. We started losing, bleeding out people. Simultaneously, right in that wave, a lot of new people were entering the market in terms of agencies. So competition was going up and people's ability to buy these types of services was going down. And so it's the perfect storm. And we were sitting up here at the top and then watching ourselves slowly sliding back down the mountain. And I'm like, what do we do? We just every day worried about it, worried about it. And so obviously, took it to God. I was like, what do I do? And
Yeah.
I began to pray and seek his guidance on how to take care of our business, our families, our employees, and their families. And I'm like, deliver us, like, help us know what to do here. Right. So one day I'm out mowing my lawn and I'm listening to a book called Expert Secrets.
Yeah.
And um and so I've got my noise canceling earphones on and I'm like listening to this book as I'm out mowing the lawn. And something he said in there just triggered, and all of a sudden it was like a flood. It was like it wasn't just I sat there and thought, "Oh, what about this and what about that?"
Yeah.
It was literally like it downloaded in my brain. It was just there. Like 1 minute it wasn't there, the next minute like it
Love
was
it.
all there and I could just see it. And I immediately stopped. I ran inside and wrote it all down, drafted it all out, which is a 5-part framework that has been revolutionary in helping these dentists be successful in spite of the economy.
Yeah.
And so I took that and we started teaching it to dentists. And every dentist that applied this was successful in spite of the economy, in spite of it. And it's only become more competitive out there for
Oh,
them.
yeah.
More the economy hasn't, we haven't gone backward in, in inflation and where we are. And so in spite of all of that, though, the doctors who have applied this have been really successful. And in our agency, we had a millionaires club that was like when you reached $1 million of implant production, you were inducted into this club. And um, in spite of all that was going on, we were successful in, on average, every 8 days, another one of our doctors earned that or re-earned it. Like it just every 8 days we were just pumping this out.
That's
Um,
crazy.
People were
That's
hitting it.
crazy
Yeah,
numbers.
yeah. In spite of the economy, which was really amazing, right? And so we did that. Last year. I exited the agency because I saw getting leads was an important part of it, but I saw that fundamentally this framework, uh, what doctors needed, more than just getting leads was the whole framework and support and putting the framework in place. And so now that's what I've been doing is taking this message out to the dentists on a more focused approach, coaching, consulting them, training them, teaching them, helping them implement from top to bottom these 5 things so that they can be successful in growing their businesses and taking care of their families and patients and
Yeah.
employees and their families, right? So yeah, it's been a wild ride, but I'll tell you, like, God delivers.
Yeah. Do you miss so I've thought about this often. Do you miss the agency stuff, or is that kind of like you're kind of glad to be done with the agency stuff?
That's funny. I there are certain things that I miss
Sure.
that was fun. I'm not anxious to go back to agency life.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
It's
a
hard
hard.
life. Like people don't realize how hard agencies can be a very difficult business model.
Yeah,
There's a lot of overhead that you don't think about. There's a lot of expenses. It's a lot of stress, the churn rate, getting new clients. Like it's its own thing, which we've been, you know, I was adding up the other day. I think I've taught over 5,000 people now how to start agencies and do digital online. Like it's
hmm,
kind of nuts. And out of those 5,000, who knows how many are actually still doing the thing? I mean, you think about what you just said a minute ago. Y'all are churning a new $1 million whatever within every 8 days.
hmm.
Most businesses don't even do $1 million in a year.
Yeah,
Uh, there's only 4, 5, 6% that even do $1 million in a year, and these guys are churning that. That's crazy. That's really cool. So as you've done this, you're shifting now. You said you're shifting more to the strategy, the coaching, and you're working with still the same clientele, or is that kind of what you are wanting to work with? Or these dentists are still doing dental
Yes, still
implants, that
working
kind of
with the
thing?
dentists, and then I teach them the five parts of this framework, help them implement it, help them put that in. Inevitably, most dentists and doctors in general went to school for medical reasons,
Sure,
and they didn't study business, they didn't study
sure.
sales, and so having somebody come in and help them hold their hand through implementing the systems and processes that they need, and then they just start taking off and start being successful. A fun I'm going to say one thing. Let me go backward, Cory, and just say something to what you just said a
Okay.
second ago. The hardest thing about the agency is that it's difficult but easier to get leads. What you can't control is how that business owner closes those
Oh,
leads.
yeah,
So it's like a market. You got to like do the lure. You got to track somebody in, but then closing the deal is the second part of the equation, and that's in their ballpark.
yeah.
And it's so difficult. And then the agency gets blamed because that person can't close. And I used to have clients all the time that'd be like, "Oh, you guys are terrible. This isn't working." And I'm like, you literally, a few miles this way, there's a dentist who is crushing it, who's making millions of dollars in a year, and
Same
you
leads.
same process, same system, same agency,
Yep.
but
We've ran
so
into that
anyway,
same thing. Yeah. And it's frustrating. As a business owner, I want to provide, I know you do too. We want to provide huge value. We want
yes.
to under promise, over deliver every client that we get. We would love to be able to just always knock it out of the ballpark. But you're right. There's been customers we've sent hundreds of leads to that are like, we just can't close anything. And I'm like, and I'll help them. I'll even go back. So it sounds like though, what you do now with the five framework, this is more like holistic as far as the business goes. Like this is the whole thing. It's not just one
Mhm.
piece of the puzzle.
Yes, yes. In fact, I always tell people the stuff that I was involved with previously was like 20% of the
Yeah,
success.
yeah,
So, and I'll just tell you really quick the five stages of this framework, because I think it applies across, especially if you're doing high ticket. I mean, really, this applies to anybody, especially in the medical. So, at the foundation, it's clinical knowledge and excellence, right? You have to be able to perform
for sure.
clinically. And then the second one's probably going to surprise most people. And it's what I call leadership. Because if you own a business and you're trying to grow and scale, market and grow and scale, but you don't show up, or you hire an agency and then you hand it off to somebody else inside of your business and say, hey, good luck. Like a dentist is like, okay, Susan, here you go. You're responsible for this and the entire office and everything else. And I'm
Right,
just going to show up
right.
and handle the teeth, right?
Yeah,
And she's already overwhelmed and stressed.
yeah. She
And
has no training in on any of this, probably.
yeah. And the doctor's like, I want to go make $1 million doing implants. And she's
Yeah,
like, and I just collect my paycheck. So why am I going to work harder for this extra work, right? So if the doctor shows up and is like, we're making this a priority every day, let's talk about this. Let's focus on these things. How are we doing? Putting the right team members in. If that team member can't close cases, close sales, whatever, then, you know, are you tracking that? Do you know that's happening? Are you able to swap that person out and be willing to?
right,
In dentistry, sometimes it's the dentist's wife who's in that role, but she's actually not suited for the role. And that can be a
right,
difficult conversation. But leadership requires somebody standing up and saying, hey, we need to make a change here if we're going to make this happen. And being able to manage the people, manage the systems and processes, and get it moving forward, get that engine moving forward, right? So without that in place, inevitably what will happen, failure will occur. You'll jump from agency to agency. You'll never really be successful.
right.
And it takes having that extreme ownership and being willing to invest in learn what you got to learn, do the things you got to do in order to be successful. That's why
Every
I
business
say
owner runs
leadership.
into that.
Yeah, that's why I say leadership is actually the second, you know.
Yeah.
Knowledge of how to do your craft. Second is
Yeah.
leadership. Develop those skills, you know.
Yeah.
Um, develop yourself so that you can be successful. The next thing is branding, and I typically refer to it as brand authority. So developing your brand authority, and this is interesting in light for anybody listening to this. You probably have recently heard, if you're in the marketing world, at least you've heard of Alex Hormozy
Oh
and
yeah.
his sale Guinness Book of World Records. He probably made over $100 million
Oh,
in a
easy.
24-hour period selling his book. It's the most books ever sold at a launch in like a
Yeah.
24-hour
And
period.
not even selling them to the person.
Yeah, yeah.
They're going to donate them. Like it was a very smart marketing play.
It was
Very
crazy.
smart.
The only reason he was able to establish and build that up is he has been and he even said it on his call as he was going through this. He said, I have spent the last year and a half to 2 years developing my brand, building authority so that people will like and trust me,
Yep.
all staged so that in this moment when he had a big offer to make and went out and made it, everybody bought it, right? Like, so brand, especially in this economy, and I've heard this over and over again recently and I'm seeing it with in the dental world where things are becoming more competitive is that the people who are able to establish their brand and create a brand around themselves, it makes all the difference, you know. It's like uh so getting somebody to like and trust you, like and trust what you have, right? And so we talk about that, like if they were going to choose you, why, you know, what's your unique value proposition or unique sales proposition? Social proof.
Right.
What social proof do you have? What educational content are you putting out there so that people view you as an expert and authority in that? You know, creating systems so that this content, you have a content machine pumping this stuff out. So that's the third. The fourth is your sales system. And so having a patient journey or a client journey or whatever, in my world it's patients, right? So we have this
Sure.
patient journey. What journey are we taking them on from initial getting to know you all the way through to being a paying person, and escalate them up your value ladder, right? It's like, how do you get somebody to go through there? Is your salesperson know how to take them through that sales process that get them converted? Are they well trained in it? Are they incentivized? Are they held accountable? All of those pieces put in place. And then the final piece is the marketing. And that's where it's, which marketing channels are you using? How much budget are you using? Like all the funnel, how are we going to funnel these people in, step them into raising their hand to say, hey, I'm interested. Let's talk, getting them into a consult. So those are the pieces put in place. And one of the things I did, I'll share this, Cory, because some of your listeners are probably people who have built agencies, who have
Oh,
worked with
sure.
you, you've taught, right? So I'll share this. One of the pieces of that frame, like when God was like, here's what you need to do, one was just, here's the framework, and then show them how do you have these pieces in place. So as opposed to like some business owner, some dentist or whoever, right, coming into the agency and saying, hey, I need to grow my business, make it happen for me, Cory.
Right. Yeah.
And then it's all on your shoulders of like, okay, when
Yeah.
you teach the framework to them and say, here are the five pieces of this framework, all of a sudden they say, oh, I'm responsible for these pieces. It's
Right.
bigger. This is more comprehensive and bigger than just getting leads, right? There's these other pieces involved, and I'm responsible for some of those. And so what I did is we created a chart that we like a playbook that showed these things and all the pieces underneath each one of those, and then we labeled them red, yellow, or green, and and then we did like monthly check-ins, and we basically built a spreadsheet, just made it easy. It was like, so
Sure.
this date, here's where you are. Look how much red you have.
Yeah.
This is why you're not being successful. You
Right.
got mostly red, some yellow, a couple greens, right? And now here's what we're going to focus on implementing over the next 30 days. When we meet back next time, let's look at this. Snapshot again. Wow, you got rid of some of your red. You know, 3 months in, you're still not being successful. They're like, oh, your marketing still isn't working. No, let's go look here. It's because you still haven't implemented this, and this. So let's implement that. And it enabled these people to be like, oh, they could see that they're stuck in the hole. They could see the light out there. It was like, here's the light where we're going to get, and here are the steps necessary that you need to take in order to get there.
What's
And
interesting is you
beautiful.
guys shifted from a marketing agency to a coaching agency. Like, yes, you were doing the marketing for them,
Yeah.
but you really were just coming in as a business coach because what you're talking about is exactly what I do in eForge. It's what you're doing now for dentists.
Hmm.
Like you've got to look at the whole business. And then, like you said, you've created measurements so that it can be managed instead of just willy-nilly, hey, you need to sell better, or hey,
Hmm.
you need to do this better. You need to be a better leader. Great. What does that mean? By doing the red, yellow, and green, that gives them an actual. I love that. I love that because it changed and shifted everything, which the agencies, most of it, what I've always taught is lead gen, SEO, website build, right? All that kind of stuff. Uh, it's fascinating because we get stuck in this. We're just the lead guy or the gal, right? We just
Hmm.
send leads to somebody or whatever. But the customers that I've had, I still have customers from literally 11 years ago that I started with that we still have to this day. Those
Hmm.
customers that I have from 11 years ago, they're with me because of what you just said. I've helped them beyond just marketing. It's customers that we've worked with beyond it. How did that shift your agency, just out of curiosity? Because it sounds like you kind of became a business coach instead of a agency owner.
Yeah, our churn, which was like blown, going way out of whack,
Yeah,
all of a sudden, like it brought it almost back into where we were before. Like
yeah,
it made such a huge difference. Stabilized us dramatically that way. And yeah, because it changed the dynamic of how we were perceived, right?
right.
It's not just the client vendor, like go out and do this thing, you're responsible. Suddenly they took on more responsibility. We were viewed as a trusted partner, uh, and they understood better what was required for success. And then we were holding their hand. It was more work on our part,
Oh, yeah. Ton
but
more
it
work.
made all of the difference, all of the difference in,
Did you change your pricing for that when you did all that?
no, not at the time,
Okay.
because we were experiencing increased competition.
Yeah, you just was a this was a bonus add-on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. It just we changed the way that we were connecting and communicating on a monthly basis with them.
yeah,
Instead of just showing up on a monthly call and saying, "Okay, here's how many leads you got, and here's how much you spent,"
yeah,
right? Like,
yeah.
uh,
Typical marketing call
yeah,
reporting. Yeah,
it was okay. Here's our here's where you are. Here's how far we've come. Here's where we're going the next 30 days. And we even built it out to where it would be like a 90-day view.
oh,
Here's some of the
nice.
things that we're going to focus on, so that they were always thinking it was kind of like success is 90 days out.
Yeah, yeah,
If I
yeah, yeah, yeah.
just hold on from 90 more days, I'm going to reach that success. And then they would fill it though, because we look at the metrics and say, here's your goal. Here's where you are now. You're not there because of the red, but look, we've improved over the last 3 months. Let's keep going. And it just changed everything.
That's really cool. Did you notice that because it sounds like the agency had to put a lot more time and energy into each client. I take it that you did a lot of the actual coaching work now that you've shifted into this now. Did you find that you were the one that took that responsibility, I guess I should say?
Yeah. Well, I first I put it in place, and then we at that point I wasn't even working directly with clients.
Oh, okay.
So it was all like we had a team doing. I had a manager under me who was managing all of the people at that point. We had grown and scaled. So the really cool thing, Corey, about that is, about this whole story is it wasn't me.
Sure.
I didn't do it wasn't me that thought up all of that. It was literally, given to me as I sought God in prayer, and he showed up and delivered. What I did do is I sought him out, and I was intensively studying and tried to
Yeah.
solve things, and that combination of me working, trying to solve things, and God, and then he was just like, here you go. And it makes all
Yeah.
the difference. So,
I've had many coaches and mentors. I paid a lot of money to have coaches and mentors in the past. Many of them will come to me and say, "You got to quit going to how." Like that's the initial the way my brain works. I immediately go to, well, how do I fix this?
mhm,
And and you went to the who, um, right? And that it's a playing off the Who Not How book, which is a great book, by the way. That's
mhm,
not the premise of that book.
yeah,
But the who that we really need to go to for our business and all of that, we sometimes forget that. And then we get off track and it becomes it just we go through the motions and do our thing and it doesn't become about what it started out as. Our whole business initially that we started, the agency and all that, the whole purpose behind us starting the agency in the first place was for us to be able to do ministry without taking a paycheck. That was
mm,
the whole purpose of it.
mm,
And then at some point, I worked myself into a really great job that paid a lot of money, and then I became that guy that was always at work and all of that. And then at some point, we woke up and said, "No, no, no, this is not what this is about. We need to shift our whole focus." And so we started shifting the business, and then we started a bunch of other businesses and all of that. Are you finding that now that you're doing this, because you've been out a little over a year, is that right,
mhm,
from the
mhm.
agency?
Yep.
Are you finding now that you're finding more joy in what you're doing now, being directly hands-on with the clients?
Yes. Actually, I don't know if I've ever slowed down to think about that, but as you ask
Yeah.
me that, yeah, I would say part of that's probably I don't have to deal with the stress of, these
Oh,
doctors being like, why am I not getting success, and like
yeah.
going back through it. But but I'm out teaching them now. I just like I find a lot of joy, and it's fun to have these. I'll tell you a couple examples. One of them is an age or a doctor's office, this dentist, right, who has gone through. They were with a marketing agency, struggling, just like really zero zero, like nothing coming out of it, and they were going to quit. And the agency owner called me up and said, "Can you work with them?" And so they brought me on to consult them. And we went a few months trying to, put some of this foundational stuff in place, develop the leadership a little bit more, get the team aligned, and people in the right mindset, start tracking stuff, start focusing on it, identified what was wrong, and went in and fixed it. In the last 3 months, they are on a run rate now to add $1 million more into the practice,
Wow.
based on each month. And in
Wow.
fact, a little bit like it's like 1.2 million, right? And they're just getting started. To watch them go from like nothing and like bumbling for month over month to wanting to quit the marketing agency and these guys aren't terrible. It's all the same stuff, right?
Right, 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 right.
And now they're just like excited. They show up to the calls. All right, what are we doing now, Spence? Like, let's go
Yeah.
grow this more. It's really fun. Another doctor, he worked with two different marketing agencies, like zero results. One of them, he got a couple right at the very beginning, and then it like tanked off. The other one was just a goose egg, like nothing. And I've been working with him about the last 6 to 8 months, and it was kind of a slow burn. And this guy, he was in like I just want to tell you like the power of the framework, right? He's in a small town in Northern Virginia, in a town that's about 3,000 people.
Mm.
45 minutes north is a bigger city, 30 minutes south is a bigger city. And in agency world, if you're ever running ads, you know that people don't go from the city out to the town to a country doctor, right? Well, this
Nope.
guy is the country doctor. He's out there, nothing was working, and so we started focusing on his brand. Oh, that's what I was going to circle back to too when we were talking about Alex Hormozy out there building the brand. Like this is
Yeah.
such a significant part in today's day and age, where money doesn't go as far and there's more competition in so many of these areas, and so you have to establish that brand, right? So we have been working hard to develop his presence as a thought leader, as an expert in this, and the perception's changed in the month of July. So 6 months ago, zero. Month of July, he did 10 arches, 10 full arches.
Oh my goodness.
It's amazing. And he just can't even believe it. And one of those ladies traveled 5 hours because she's like, you're obviously, the best around. Like, she probably passed 10 dentists or more, you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah,
20
yeah.
dentists, who knows? And that could have done the work for her. She passed him on, went to him because she's like, you're obviously the best because we've been establishing him online as that presence. It's huge. It's
It is
huge.
huge. We were just talking about that a minute ago. I've in the last 6 years, I had developed one program. We developed some others since then. And our identity online can get tied to so many things. Like you were saying before, I know when you and I were talking, even back when we very initially connected, it's so easy to wrap our identity up in whatever it is that we're doing at the moment, the agency owner, or when I was doing youth ministry work or children's home work, or when I ran the children's home as a CEO, that was my identity. That's how people knew me. And now it's kind of funny. People will write me and they'll say things like, "Well, I know you're focused on da 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 da." And I'm going, "That's not even what I'm focused on." And it's just kind of funny what the brand comes across as, or what we tell people online, and then what is perceived by the people. And so even this little country doctor that's out in the middle of nowhere apparently is building that brand. And just like you and I were just talking about, you have to build everybody, every business owner, doesn't matter if they're from a concrete guy to the dentist to whatever kind of doctor. We've worked with all kinds of dentists, chiropractors. We've worked with MDs. We've worked with high-end stuff. We worked with really low-end stuff. We did a lot with hormone clinics for a while. That was an interesting niche. Like
Mhm.
we've worked with a little bit of everything through the years, and we've worked with just local, and then we've worked with stuff that's massive, right? That's 300 plus locations or whatever. We've done a little bit of all of that. But that brand is, like you said, and it's becoming more and more important because right now with AI, it's more about the brand. It's not as
Yeah.
much about all those factors that you and I played with all these years with
Yeah.
SEO and all that. It's
Yeah.
shifting. It's about the brand.
It
So
is.
that guy may be showing up in AI somewhere else that because of his branding, just because of what you guys are doing for him, that he would have never even popped up before. Where do you
Yeah.
see things? So it sounds like you're working with the dentists right now, the doctors right now. Are you do you have like a max capacity that you're like, okay, once I hit this many, this is all I can work with? Like, what does this look like for you moving forward because I take it it's kind of more of a consultant coaching business now.
Yeah. And, when I first left the agency, I dove in, I reached out to some docs, got some referrals too, and I've been tightly working with them to develop their practices. But my goal is to take this to as many of these doctors as I can to help them out.
Sure,
And so I'm evolving how I'm delivering, because
sure.
I have to go one to many. It just is part of the evolution, right? If you want to help more people, there's only so many hours in the day. And my wife would kill me if I devoted all of them to helping.
Mine too. Mine too.
So, um, I don't want to miss out on that time with my kids. I want that flexibility in my
Yeah,
life to be able to show up for that soccer game and that event, and the different things. So that's what I'm establishing right now. I'm in the process of developing some courses, some online courses, so I can
good,
teach these concepts, and also establishing a group coaching program, and which will enable me to work more closely, but in a group setting, with some, and then I will never not have some one-on-one
yeah,
clients though,
yeah,
because I learn so much when I roll up my
yeah.
sleeves and I jump in there. And
Yeah,
so,
it's way different being in the trenches with
yeah.
someone. Yeah,
Hmm.
for sure. And honestly, everything that you've talked about today could be applied to any business. It doesn't matter if it's a solopreneur, somebody that's doing high end stuff, low end stuff, if they're doing brick and mortar, it doesn't matter. If
Yeah.
online, like those five principles that you just talked about, those five steps, I mean, that model is gold for any business owner because I think back to the business owners that we have right now that have stuck with it through the years, and it is because that they followed those types of steps. They didn't quit here or they didn't get lost in whatever steps were over here and eventually have grown the business to where it is now and brought themselves to that. I love the group model. That's what I do within eForge. We have a group coach kind of thing,
Hmm.
right? And I love the 101 too. I have some of those that I do. I just opened that up not too long ago because you know how taxing that is. It's great and I love it. And it's probably one of the most fulfilling things that I get to do, but it also is one of the most taxing things that I do because it takes so much more time, more of me, more energy. And like you said, it's not scalable at all.
Yeah.
Um, so it's not something that you go. If somebody wants to find out more, I know you tell them what the tell them what the model's called, and let's talk about what the actual business is that you have now. Because I know you have
Yeah.
a whole thing now that you've built this because you're building the brand right now.
Yes. Yes. So in my space, I have been working with a high ticket dental patient, right? And when a dentist is able to acquire more of these high ticket patients, it really affords them more financial time and lifestyle freedom. And so, and it's not just dental implants. There are other high ticket items.
Oh,
Dental
sure.
implants just happens to be the highest of those, right? But apply that to anywhere, anybody, any business, when you can get more of that high paying um, customer in, then it does. You could go like I have a friend of mine who's a doctor, a dentist, and he's gone from working 5 days a week to working 3 days a week, and because his heart and soul is actually in wanting to do life coaching. He went through a terrible
Yep.
time in his life, hit rock bottom, pulled himself back out, and almost lost his practice, lost his
Wow.
marriage, like it just everything fell apart. And then he pulled himself back together and kind of found God in the process and pulled himself back together. And now he wants to help other dentists do the same. And so
Nice.
but what's really cool about it is he's able to pursue this and have a bigger impact in this world and help more people because he became a full arch dental implant dentist, and now he only has to work 3 days a week. He makes more than what he was making before.
Yeah.
And then he's now he's out doing good and helping people in a different capacity, and has the time and ability to accomplish that. So it's really, really cool. So anyway, the point in all of this is to say, that high ticket patient I've dubbed the freedom patient, because if you can get more of that type of patient, it equals that financial time and lifestyle freedom for these doctors and
Right.
any business owner, really, right? That focuses on acquiring those. And so my framework teaches them how to do that. So I call it the freedom patient framework, and
Wow.
teach them how to put that all in place. And we've got a whole freedom patient funnel, freedom funnel in there, and I teach them to put these things in place, and it helps them visualize and see, uh, to think like, okay, everything I'm doing right now has purpose. Because some of these guys, going back to that leadership step, sometimes it's like, I love what I'm doing. If you've ever read the E-Myth, right? I'm really good
Oh yeah.
at the technical stuff here, but I need to wear these other hats. And that's, if you're a business owner, I would say like the two biggest things that I could recommend to anybody as a business owner is self work. And like literally, like go get therapy, practice embodiment, do some breath work, learn how to become a better you and how to control your triggers and your emotions, right? So that you can show up and guide and lead and direct and do more, do good. Connect with God, connect with him daily in his word, and in prayer. Like all of that stuff will develop you into a better force for good and more capable person. The second thing is learn marketing and sales.
Yeah.
And because be take on and own the growth of your practice. If you're not growing, or your business, right? If you're not growing, Don't just abdicate that. Don't just hand it off. Like, become an exceptional marketer, become an exceptional salesperson, and understand it. Even if you're hiring out to agencies and
Sure.
whatnot, it's not necessarily doing all of the pieces, but understand the science of the psychology of converting people into believers in your services and in your ability to provide those services, right? That's how you're going to really grow and scale and become very successful. And um, owning it. That's the leadership function. So anyway, you can, if you're interested in connecting, talk, or have questions, I'm happy to jump on a call with anybody here, Cory, who might be listening or who has questions or whatever. You can go to thefreedompatient.com and find my contact info on there.
Yeah, I love the fact that Jim Rohn, Zig Ziglar, all the old guys that were
Mm-hmm.
kind of the initial gurus out there teaching people how to be better business owners. They always talked about the very first thing you got to do is work on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's you as a business owner are never going to pass. And we used to talk about this in ministry all the time. Wherever I'm at, like that's the cap. You have to decide, am I willing to get outside of my comfort zone and grow beyond that? If I'm not, then everything else is going to reflect that. The
Mm-hmm.
business, the leadership, the ministry, the family, I don't, it doesn't matter what it is. It's all going to
Yeah.
reflect that. Our health, it's all
Mm-hmm.
going to reflect that based on what we're willing to grow and be uncomfortable because being a business owner is uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's going to put you in a lot of sticky situations. It just
Yeah.
is. What is the, just kind of as a final, you just gave some great advice about working on yourself, making sure that you're doing that. As you're going through these business, is there patterns that you're seeing just out of curiosity that people would go, like that could resonate with and go, oh, that's a pattern that I'm working through right now, like something that they're dealing with and struggling with in their business. It sounds like leadership is a huge one that you see over and over and over and over again.
Yeah. In fact, I used to tell my employees, and when I was at the agency, I would tell them, uh, because inevitably, if somebody followed the framework that we had, they were successful every single
Yeah.
time. It didn't matter where or what. We could help them be successful. It was getting them to follow it, to do what was needed in order to, apply apply the learning,
Right, right,
the
right.
truth, right? And so if they weren't willing or able to, then they would blame us, and they would go on their way. And I used to tell them, like, every time, like 100% of the people, not quite 100, there were the occasional doctor who got sick, or retired or whatever,
Yeah,
but the
yeah, yeah.
majority, 99.99% of our clients who quit, they quit because of a failure of leadership. And and it's not this thing that you talk about and people are like, "Oh, that's exciting. I want to go like develop myself."
Yeah,
But inevitably, like every single person, we need it. Like, our
we do.
spouses need it.
We
Our
do.
children need it, because we all have triggers. We all have emotions, and why we do things. And um, whether you're sitting there doom scrolling every day because you're avoiding doing work, or we've all done it. We all have these
Yep.
moments, and it's
Yep.
like developing the cognitive wherewithal and managing stress, learning how to manage stress, so we're not, taking stress home and blowing up at our wife or kids, or our spouses or whatever, or our employees. And all of that is just so important. It's like becoming the core people so that we can have influence and make good decisions and have accomplish more, be more productive. All comes down to developing ourselves. And, you know, usually people are like glossing their eyes over. They're like, what, nobody wants to spend the money. But at the end of the day, I will tell you, like, I've seen it. I've worked with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of doctors and clients out there. And inevitably that is always, that's the biggest thing that I see out there. The docs who are investing and building those things up, just really take off. Their businesses
Right.
take off, and they have such strong success. The second thing, just to put another emphasis, you were saying, other trends or whatever, is just to go back and emphasize how important that branding is.
Yeah.
creating a brand. And there are some phenomenal books and things out there. Go study Alex Hormozy, many of his books. Russell
Yeah.
Brunson,
Yep.
Expert Secrets. It's a
Yep.
fantastic book on this. There's quite a few different courses, different, people out there that are talking about this, but it is a trend right now. It doesn't mean you necessarily have to go and post on social media. It's going to probably vary depending on where you are and what you
Sure.
do. The more that you are talking about this, educating people, putting information out there, the more people will view you as an authority and expert, and they will naturally like and trust you more. The whole goal of marketing is just sales using media,
That's all it
and
is.
the goal of like really, really exceptional marketing will turn your salespeople into order takers,
Yeah.
right? And so it's like develop that and give them all of the stuff they need up front so that they just like and trust you more, and then they'll buy from you.
Well, what you said a minute ago is true. I saw a number today. I was on the call Saturday for Hermosi. I wanted to see. I watched it as much just to learn as I did. I wasn't. I knew that he was going to pitch something. I didn't know what he was going to pitch, but I knew he pitched something. We knew it would be big, right? We knew there'd be a huge buildup, and then he would give away a bunch of junk. Like anybody that's followed him would know the pattern. And basically, what he did is he did exactly what he teaches. He
Mm-hmm.
just did it on a huge scale, right? Bigger scale than you and I probably will ever have in our lives to do it on. I saw the number today was over 3.5 million that he sold in books so far. And
Yeah.
you know that number will it'll just keep going up, right? As people get more entrenched in what it is. And like you said, it was because of the brand.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't necessarily matter which company that we point to or which person that we point to online, their brand is what's driving. It's
Mm-hmm.
driving that train. So
Yeah.
yeah, I love it. Look, that was incredible. Thank you so much for sharing your framework and also sharing the story behind it, how God birthed something powerful in the most ordinary moment. If you're listening right now and God has put something in your spirit, a vision, a model, a method, don't ignore it. Take the first step. Get it out of your head. You heard what he said. I immediately stopped mowing and I went and wrote it down. Get it out of your head. Put it into motion. Guys, you just heard you can connect with Spencer and learn more about his work at thefreedompatient.com. Make sure and go check him out. I know you have your Freedom Patient podcast that you're doing. I know you have some other things. So you guys are going to be able to find him online. If this episode impacted you, do me a favor, subscribe, leave a review. Share it with someone building a business that honors both God and growth. New episodes drop every Thursday right here on the eForge podcast, where leaders are made and legacies are built.